Hello, welcome to Victoria Makes. If you're new here, I'm Victoria. Welcome. I make all sorts of upcycling products, dressmaking, making in the house, DIY, uploading and cooking of course. And I like to use recycled or sustainably produced products and fabrics, and also try and think what I can do with leftover and scrap fabrics that I've used and that's left over from previous projects. And today's video is all about making things using up scraps and leftover fabrics from previous projects and just relaxing and enjoying time out. Now they do call it slow stitching and slow projects or slow step sewing, but it could also be just a fast project that you're taking time out to do. It's not going to take you 4 weeks, it might only take you an hour, half an hour, all day. But the main thing is it's about helping us with our well-being, having a project, having whatever makes you happy, a little hobby, or learning a new skill that makes you feel happier within yourself. It takes away a bit of stress. So today I've got a bit of fabric and I thought I would make a stack of stuffed lavender pillows or hearts, and this is a sort of thing that I've done already to give you an idea. Making little hearts out of fabric, putting lavender in that's been collected last year from the garden, and also wadding. Now your wadding can be used from pillows or cushions that you are replacing, providing the pillows are clean of course. If you're just making them for yourself and they're your pillows, then you know that's alright, isn't it? I wouldn't really go out and buy a second-hand pillow, but you know, in the supermarkets they often have pillows ridiculously cheap, brand new ones. I've seen them at £2.99, and in each pillow you get so much wadding that it's really good value compared to going and buying wadding for a project yourself. So check those sort of ideas out, because you know there's bargains to be had. This one's just a simple square of fabric and stuffed with wadding and lavender, and then a little loop of ribbon on the top. So that's what I'm going to be making today, okay, out of some fabric that I've got. You can do it out of any fabric, you don't have to have the same fabric on the back, so it's ideal for scraps. And I've got a bit of fabric here, and I've got lots of leftover scraps that I really want to use up in patchwork small projects like this, which will be great to put in your wardrobe, in your drawers, and scent your clothes or whatever's in the drawers, make it nice. It also hopefully will deter moths, etc. Now if you haven't got, you're just starting out or you haven't got any scraps, have a little look around the house for anything that you might be wanting to discard and see if that's something that you could cut up. Old shirts for example, blouses, dresses, skirts, tea towels, anything like that can be used for this purpose. So you know, be mindful, don't just rush out and buy lots and lots of fabric, see what you've got around the house. If you want to make something and it's brand new fabric, you can then choose your colours, can't you, to coordinate if you're buying it from new. You can make a frill around it out of a coordinating fabric, which would be nice, and equally you can enlarge these. This is a small idea of course, but you can make them into small cushions or huge cushions for the sofa, you know, so anything, it's all very easy. So that's what I'm going to do, and you might remember this from one of my previous projects. I've got this, so I thought that is like a little bit of an odd shaped thing, so I could get 2 squares and make a couple of these little cushions, maybe 2 or 3 depending on the size. And then what I want to do is stack them up and then tie them maybe with a ribbon, you know, and make it as a decorative gift for a friend. If you haven't got any fabric of your own, I am selling some beautiful sewing packages, and I've got a video, if you want to have a little look, I'll leave a video link to it where I go through them all. But basically they are beautiful packages, and inside each one there are a good range of fabrics, ribbon, buttons, a needle and thread, lace, and you can give it as a gift. I mean, they are so beautiful. In this one, for example, you've got this beautiful lace work. Then I've made a nice card with pink, red and green thread on, 2 needles and 4 pink buttons. There's some beautiful ribbon in here. There's a lovely little ribbon that says enjoy. You know, you can sew these into your gifts. And then we start to work towards these pretty little embroidery panels that I've popped in. That's pure embroidery off a linen cotton cloth. So that could be stitched in. If you're not good at embroidery, this is a perfect way of incorporating beautiful flowers and embroidery stitching into a project without you having to do that yourself. Lots of nice little bits of fabric. These have got flowers on them, and they all kind of come together. Got a lovely, beautiful pink doily. That could be on the side or on the top on a denim jacket. You could put it on a skirt. You could put it, make a round cushion and put that as a centre. It'd be beautiful. Little bud rose fabric, gingham red fabric, lots of other fabrics with flowers on, spots. Beautiful, like a broderie anglaise, kind of a very, very beautiful and intricate floral design on that. Some more beautiful rose fabric, and then some plain cotton so you can back any of the projects. So I'm selling these on my webpage, and I'll leave a link to this in the description, and you can make all sorts out of this. I mean, it's a beautiful mixture of lovely fabrics, lace, ribbon, buttons, needle and thread that go together. So they're the pink ones. I've got some beautiful blue ones, which are blue and white, ribbons, gingham, spots, florals, you know, some gorgeous colours in there. And there's even a Christmas theme ones on the website still. This is pink and blues with lots of lovely pink and blues. Items do vary in each package, but I've put them together with beautiful things that all coordinate together. So you can have a little look. Any questions, just ping me a message. Again, lovely blue and whites, gingham check and stripes and white, yellows and blues here, and greens. That's a gorgeous combination as well. It's got a big gold doily in it as well, and all the white and lace trimmings, thread, needle and cotton and buttons, of course. Another blue and white. It's a beautiful one. So if you haven't got anything that you can use and you want to purchase one of those, have a look on the website, because I've said some fabulous things in there which would be perfect for small projects and journaling, things like that. So I've got quite a few of those if that's of interest to you. It's a simple thing, this. I wanted to make it just a nice simple project, not too taxing. As I say, I think today I'm just going to make it out of this one. And then I'll have a little look and see if I've got a bit of floral that I can put on one side as well, because I've got plenty of fabric in my stash. So let's have a little look what I can pair with this one. So I've got some lovely bits and pieces left over from different projects in here. So that would go very nice, wouldn't it, with that, I think. I have one side in the floral and one side in that. So I'm trying to sort of, you know, coordinate it so we can get down our fabric stash. This is a nice one as well, nice piece. Sometimes I just think there isn't enough hours in the day to do everything, but I'll try and see if I've got any small pieces, because a lot of them are quite big, and I might be able to use them for a larger project. So I'm just really looking at the small ones, I'm just choosing a couple that coordinate well with it. I'm still ongoing with a long patchwork project. Don't seem to be getting any further with that, but maybe I ought to do a video on this so that I can progress, where I've been putting all my fabrics together, you know, so that I can actually make something out of them. in time. Just trying to get them all sewn together at the minute. I keep putting it away, you know, and then I don't get on with them again. But we'll get there in the end, won't we? And that's the thing about slow stitching and enjoying yourself and not putting pressure on yourself. Right, so we need a template. So I'm going to do a couple of cardboard templates squared, and then I'll come back to short and show you what I've done using a cereal box or some kind of recycling. Right then, so what I've done is I've cut a series of squares just out of old cardboards, you know, whatever you're eating and everything. And I've done a 13 centimetre square, 11 centimetre square and 9 centimetres square. So it depends on the size that you want your little pouches or squares. And I've also have done in the past hearts and rectangles. So I've kind of measured this one roughly, and that comes 13 centimetres by 7. But you could probably do 15 by 9, 15 by 8. So just do it on some cardboard, measure it out, and then you cut out what size you want. This one roughly equates to 13 times 7 centimetres. However, that's a finished article, isn't it? So I've probably cut mine originally at 15 times 9 and obviously seamed it all the way around. So it's up to you. It depends how big you want it. This is quite a fairly nice big one. You know, a small one equally, that'll come out quite nice anyway and cute. And then there's the heart. Just simply draw a heart on cardboard, any size you want. And it's easy. The easiest way of doing a heart is if you've got a piece of paper or cardboard. This is too small, of course. What I always do for a heart is I fold it in half like so. Okay, I like to fold it in half. Then I will do the heart on one side. So just draw a heart shape. So you go sort of like that, and you'll start about here and do your heart all the way around like that, coming down to the point at the very, very bottom. Cut it out and then fold it out. So I'll do a quick one to show you what I mean. And it depends on the size and the shape of your heart, what you've cut out. So that's what I've done. I fold it in half, of course, okay, and I've just literally gone like that up and round and then down to the bottom. Then we cut it out, folded up. You know, forgive me, you'll probably know how to do this anyway, but you know. So you just, and just, as I say, whoops, a little bit wrong there, don't you? And then open it out and you've got a heart. Now you can tweak this to how you want. You might want a very heart at the top like that and then coming right down so it's a lot longer. And then obviously what you would do for that would be to have a longer piece of card and do that shape and then come right down to the bottom. Make it a lot longer, that card on the bottom. So this one will give you this sort of shape, okay? The longer ones, like what I'm saying, will give you this sort of shape, you know? So you'd fold it in half and you just do that and you go all the way right down and that's your half. Like that, isn't it? And then you'd fold that paper out, you'd cut it out and then fold it out so it would be a lot longer. So it depends on the shape that you want. So then what we do now we've got our templates, we pin them on and cut the shapes out. Very, very simple, isn't it? And it's just nice to just do something when you've got a bit of time and think what you like. Remember, that's the front and which is the back when you're pinning on the shape. And this one's a nice big one, and I think because it's so beautiful that I'm going to make it so I don't cut off this beautiful triple, well there's 4 bits of the roses there. It's gorgeous. In fact I might make a huge one, you know, that sort of size, because it's too nice that to cut. I'm like this, you see, I love my roses, I just do not like cutting into them. I just think they're just so absolutely amazing. So that's got to be a big heart or a big squared cushion because that's just too nice. It would also make a nice cosmetic bag front cover. I love that. It's just very, very nice. I've even put, with these, I've put them on back of books. When I'm doing my journals, I often make lots of journals and cover them. And that's fabric that I've glued on. When I've got a really nice, beautiful design, you see, I tend to try and glue it on the front. Or obviously back part of the journals. This has got 3 separate book signatures in, books if you like. There's one there. I do like to do journaling. So that could be for your journals as well, couldn't it? And those slow stitch bags that I've produced are fantastic for journaling as well, because there's so many beautiful elements to them that you can use them in different ways, from embroidered appliques to making your own little projects like this, to even incorporating them if you're wanting to make something like a book cover or a pin cushion or a decorative wall art like I've done in the past. And you have a look at my previous videos, you'll see things like that. Or just applique in pretty parts of those fabrics onto others, you know, so that they stand out, and maybe putting them then on your clothes. In the past I've had made a denim jacket, which unfortunately I have donated to the charity shop some time ago now, and I've just got a plain one. I'm thinking I might do it again actually, where I just appliqued beautiful fabrics onto the denim jacket, and it really made it pop, and it was really individual that way. So, you know, have a little think. I mean, these make beautiful little items that you can actually just sew on. If you're very good at stitching things like this as well, you could actually stitch around the flowers as well, couldn't you? And do certain stitches on top of them to make it more defined as well. So there's lots of lovely ideas. So we'll just carry on and cut some out. So I'm going to do some hearts on here. So it's a beautiful day, absolutely glorious again. We're in England and we are so blessed with the weather presently. You know, it's April and sometimes it's very, very cold, isn't it? But yeah, it's really been a beautiful day today. So I'm really, really very, very grateful for the weather that we've got. I went out and took a little video of the beautiful fields and moors again, and I was sort of thinking, I wonder if I ought to put that on my video, you know, at the beginning of each one, you know, showing you the beauty. If you're interested in something like that, let me know. I know a lot of people do like vlogs, don't they, where they'll say a day in my life, where if they've gone thrifting and they've found some nice items, they do a little video on that. And I said I could do that. I could do that as well, if that's something that's interesting. The only thing with that is sometimes I don't feel like I can film inside. You know, I do respect that we've got, you know, people inside shops as well looking round, and you know, in America obviously they're huge charity shops, aren't they? You know, they're like superstores. Here we don't have that size. Well, I don't know if you've got a big superstore charity shop near you in England. If you have, let me know. And it'd be nice to know where it is, and then if I go on holiday anywhere near it, I'll call in. But they're just general small charity shops that I know of here. And as I say, I've got about half an hour to an hour to go to any of these, so it's not something that I do regularly. We do have the odd antique fair and going off, which is very, very nice, and you can pick up some nice ones. Did have one the other week, an antique fair locally. It was beautiful, and I did see some Sanderson fabric, but she wanted £100 for it. And oh no, I respect the fact that she's got to make money and it's a business, you know. So, but it wasn't something that really I could expend that sort of money on the particular fabric that I found. I found Sanderson's before and paid £30, £35 for them. But this, as I said, this was 100, and I thought, oh, I can't really pay that. It's a shame though, because I had got the eiderdown, the big throw, in the exact fabric, and that did cost me a lot of money. It was a proper Sanderson one years and years ago, but it was well worth it because I've had it for more than 10 years now, and it's still like brand new. It's absolutely glorious. So these things last forever. We've been saying before, I suppose it's an age thing, isn't it? I'm not into fast fashion anymore, but I do like to see the trending patterns, you know, so I suppose we are, you know, still interested in fashion to a certain degree, aren't we, as sewists? And I do like that. But what I do like is investing in things. So I don't mind spending and buying good quality branded items of clothing. I've got some good clothing which has come from, you know, good makes, and I know that they'll last. I'm still wearing clothes that I see pictures of 10-15 years ago that I have worn, because I don't wear my clothes very often, and I look after my clothes. The ones that I make, you can play about with, can't you? And you can have fun with the ones that you make, because if it doesn't work out, you can just unpick it and use the fabric again for another project. So, you know, you're not throwing things away, you're investing in the cost of the fabric, but, you know, it's not like you're going to just throw it in the bin, the landfill. And I think also I've become more aware of fabric and what I'm buying as well, because in the past I've just bought, you know, things that are fashionable from shops that are not very ethical, and obviously I think there's a lot more awareness of that now, isn't there? And you have a choice. And so now what I'm looking for is good quality pieces of clothing that I know will last, that have been made with good quality fabrics, and they cost more money. That's, you know, that's what it is. So we have responsibility ourselves, even though we are supposedly making it ourselves, so that we don't waste the fabric. I'm not pinning it, so if it's a bit wonky, it'll be fine when it's sewn together. We'll sew it straight. Just want a piece for the front and a piece for the back. And like I said before, you choose which fabrics you want to use up out of your stash. In those sewing packs I've got, you've got lace and ribbon as well included, so you could make these and then use the ribbon for the ties. And these are great in wardrobes, you know, just so that you're protecting your clothes from the moths. Right, so we need another rectangle one. I'll show you my Easter display, because I've put the Easter display up now, and I've got a video on that from last year showing you how I made some high-end bunting, which I've not put up because I haven't got any room for it on there, to be honest, actually. But I've got the most exquisite eggs that were just pound shop or home bargains, plastic eggs, and I decoupaged beautiful paper onto it, and I'll show you a quick over run of that, and I'll link that video. There is a playlist, I think, for Easter on my video listing if you want to have a look for it, and have a little look. So I show you how to make stuffed Easter bunnies, a bunny garland, and beautiful eggs, covering Easter eggs, and putting all sorts of things in so they look so high end and unique and original. So I hope you'll have a look at that. So it didn't get many views at the time, which I was very disappointed about. The thing with YouTube is, it's quite hard. My son keeps saying to me, you've got to invest a lot of time in the thumbnail, Mum. So, oh right, okay. It's like a needle in a haystack, otherwise you'll never get found on YouTube. And I suppose he's right, isn't he? It's not like when you open a little shop and people come and, you know, if they live in the town, they might come and have a nose, and if they like it, they'll stick around and come back. I suppose if you're on the internet, you don't even know where you are, who you are, and how to find you, I suppose. But anyway, he's trying his best for me, bless him. Trying to tell me to do it the right way. So if you're here, thank you. I'm glad you found me. Oh dear. And I'd love to know what you've been making. So let me know, because I'd love to know. Thank you for your comments so far. It's lovely when you get a comment. I've got a friend who's got a small business online. She does a happy dance. She says every time she gets a sale. So do I. I get a happy dance when I hear that you've made a sale. That's lovely news. I'm so pleased for you. And it's kind of like that with it when you get a comment left. You think, oh, someone's watched my video and someone's left a comment. You know, and it's really nice. So thank you to everybody who leaves comments, who likes and subscribes. And hopefully my subscription numbers will go up. So if you know any top tips, let me know. It soon will be Easter, won't it? I've been trying to be very good and not eat much. In the way of chocolate and things, you know, and trying to not have too much sugar and stuff. So yesterday what I was doing was I bought a little, set of 3 lovely geraniums from the garden centre, and I took cuttings off in the hope that I get about 3 from each. You know, it's quite easy to do your cuttings. If you just Google it online, you'll see. But it's lovely to get a new plant and just try and take some cuttings. I did that with basil as well the other week. I bought a pot plant of basil and then took some cuttings of that, and I've got about 5 little baby basils out of one plant. So hopefully if they grow over summer, I'll have quite a lot of basil, which we have a lot of basil in cooking, so we have a lot of Mediterranean food. So okay, so what we've done, not taking long, is it? Just front and back, floral, and then this check. So I've done all 3 sizes, okay, basically. So I'll have 3 of those, and then I've done a rectangle one as well, and then I've done one heart as well. So what I'm going to do now, very, very easy, is pin each one together. So with the heart, you need an opening. So I generally start about here and sew all the way around, right to the bottom, and back up, and leave about 1 inch gap. Start about here and then end about here. Then you're able to put your lavender and your stuffing in. Then, if you're very good at hand stitching, then you just hand stitch that gap together. While you're doing it, don't forget you want some ribbon as well. Now you can do 1 or 2 things. You can either hand sew your ribbon yourself when it's finished, or you could put the ribbon now, a piece here and a piece there, and then when you sew round, just sew it in. Just take it from the very, very middle and sew it in. So we're going to do that now, and then with the squares, the same principle. Sew it all the way around, leaving about an inch gap. So, and then you'll turn it inside out, press it, stuff it, and then sew those end bits together. And then using a ribbon again, if you want to, and you're going to have them as a hanging pomander, say, you can put a little loop of a ribbon in. Or if you're going to just have them for a drawer pomander, then you don't have to. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'll show you the stuffing and the lavender. Right, so what I have done is I've sewn all them around, and I'm going to now turn them inside out. I've left a gap so that I can turn each part inside out, and then get all your corners out with some kind of tool. Just be careful how you poke it through, basically. And then if you want to, you can iron it flat on all the corners, and then you'll end up, obviously I've not poked them out yet, but you'll end up with a little pouch like this, with a hole in, and then you can pop your wadding in. So I've got some beautiful velvet ribbon from my stash, and I have my lovely vintage tin filled with the wadding from a pillow, and then another one of my lovely khakis and roses tins, which I like to buy when they ever come out. Obviously with it being taken over now, I probably won't have anything like that anymore. And then in here is a beautiful stash of all the lavender from the garden, and it's in a sealed bag to keep the fragrance in, and I do pop lavender oil on this from time to time to keep that lovely smell. And what I do, I take little bits of this and I stuff it in. I'm just going to pop these corners out because I like a nice neat corner, and I'll do it very carefully with the pair of scissors, making sure I do not poke it all the way through and give myself a hole. I've done that many a time. And then we'll pop it all in like so, and pop lavender in as I go, so that the lavender is all dispersed evenly. And I usually put the bag inside this lavender bag, and what I do is pop them in and keep it in the bag for some time until I want to give it as a present to somebody, and then it gets lots and lots of the lavender scent in it, and it smells really delicious. You can use any other fragrance that you wish. You could do rose petals and put rose oil in. You could use lemon balm, any herbs that you like. Traditionally, the lavender is associated with restfulness and sleep, isn't it? It's an ideal one for a bedroom, but if it's not something that you like, obviously try and use something that you like. You could just put the pillow in, the stuffing in, and then put on the actual stuffing some nice scented oil of your choice, and it'll smell lovely. I don't tend to try and use white a lot in these, because in half a year to a year, when the scent has gone a little bit, I will spray these pouches. Right, so we're getting it nice and filled now, you see. It smells really lovely. I do like lavender. Get the stuff into all the sides evenly. Push it in as you go along to the top and the bottom, making sure that you really stuff it into the corners as well at first. Now, and then you've got them in, and then you can start pushing the rest into the middle. Just take quite a lot of this wadding, you see. If you're giving it as a gift, just buy a brand new pillow. If you want to sell it, just buy brand new pillows. As I say, they're very cheap. And then just fill that top bit up like so, and then you need to just carefully secure that edge. Now, I'm not a very neat stitcher at all, but it is best that you do it as a proper stitch, to be honest, because then you'd get a better edge. But what I tend to do is just stitch it carefully on the very end on the sewing machine. But while I do that, I'm going to put a little bit of a ribbon on that side as well, so that we can hang it up. So we'll stitch that all in, and then our first one will be ready. Very simple. So make sure you get your edges together, pin them all nice and neatly so they're all even, and then don't forget your ribbon. So I'll fit it on one of the dresses here. So I've got some kind of idea, and I'll measure it for you. About 24 centimetres I've got. Tuck that in and then sew it up on the machine now. Just sew that up. And then just give it a jiggle around to get that stuffing correct. And that is the first one. And they just smell really lovely. So we'll do the rest and then we'll put them all together and I'll show you at the end. I've also decided I'm going to make out of some of these scraps. Now some of this fabric, I told you it was part of the blouse, the last video, the second to the last video, sorry, and part of it was a tablecloth and it had a lot of staining on from tea. So what I've done is I've cut it in strips, and what I'm going to do is with them I'm going to sew them together, and then I'm going to sew them in half and make a scrunchie. And basically what I've done is I've looked at this scrunchie I've got and I've pulled it out, and that's 20 centimetres. So I thought, right, that means it's 40 centimetres normally, the length, because that's double. And then it was, I think, what did I say now? And the width of it, 2.5 centimetres wide. So you'd want 6, turn it in half. But I might make it a bit wider than that anyway. So let's say if you did it, the width, do it 8 centimetres and turn it in half, that would be 4. And then you take probably 1 centimetre seam, 1.5 centimetre seam. So it'll probably work out about 5.5 centimetres wide. So I'm going to make these all into it, because this is a stained part of that fabric and I still want to use it, and I reckon that when it's all scrunched up, all you'll see is a beautiful flowers and not any staining on it. It'll just look like it's part of the colour of the fabric. So that's another bit of something to make with scrap fabrics. And those packages I've made are ideal for any of these projects that I'm showing you today. So I will have to just tweak these and join them together at the widest part so that we've got the same sort of length, and then I can trim it down, and then I'll have got enough to make at least one scrunchie out of this, if not more, we'll see. So I'm going to do that as well. We need some elastic for that as well, of course, and I'll show you what this looks like as well in a bit. Right then, so I've done the tube with all the stained fabric, you know, because a bit of stain, can't really tell where it is. And so what I'm going to do now is get it's quite long, get some elastic and put it in the middle of it, and then we'll tighten it so it becomes very, very nice and gathered like this. And then I want to put one end inside the other, like so, and then we'll turn that back on itself and we'll sew it all the way around, and I'll sew that on the machine, catching the elastic inside, and that'll all be scrunched together then and make a really nice hair scrunchie hopefully. So I'm just going to get some elastic found now for it. So I've got 2 pieces of elastic. I've got one long piece like that, and I've got these 2 black ones. I think I might use that up. So I'm going to just sew it several times across so that I'll join it together and sew it down when I overlap it. Okay, so it'll be one continuous piece. We'll put it in, it'll gather it up a little bit, and then we'll keep the edges out at the end, sewing it when that seam gets sewn together shortly. Right, so that's my scrunchie, and I've made it quite a big one so that I can put it double around my ponytail or whatever, so it's even, you know, wider, and you can wear them on your arm so that you can just pop it on your hair and do it round twice, and then there we go. Really good, very easy. So that's made a bit of use from that stained piece of fabric, and now we're getting on with the others. I'm going to stuff these and I'll show you them all at the end. Hope you're enjoying this video. Give it a thumbs up and a like if you are, and thank you for watching and being here with me. And please leave a comment in the comment box of what you're making and any other ideas with your scraps. I made a fabric cover for my sewing machine and a bag to put my sewing machine plugs in, etc. from scraps. I've shown you that before. Simple little thing. Use a little bit of plain fabric on the back, and then floral on the front, and a little tie to keep it all secure when it's all in there, just to put the plug in and make it a bit more neater. Right, I'm just going to do this and I'll show you them at the end. Just when you're actually packing these little pouches, pop your filling in first, and then lots and lots of lavender in the middle, and then when you get into the top, I always just finish off with the wadding on the very top. Quarter down, then lavender, half down, wadding again, then a bit of lavender, and then the top quarter pop your filler on. That way you should get a good even distribution of smells and padding as well, because your lavender obviously is not as soft as the wadding, and you want to pad it out so it's nice and squishable, as well as having quite a lot of lavender in. So I just find that it mixes nice and evenly that way, and it fills it up. Smells really nice. And when you get to the very top, just make sure that it's just filled with the wadding, so when you sew you can push that wadding back up, poke it right down away from the sewing area, and then you can squish it and it'll bounce back up after you've sewn that top. And it's a pretty way as well, isn't it? And if you can give them as gifts as well, it's a nice to unique present. There's so much stuff you buy these days. Everyone's, can get similar things in the shops, but they don't really sell a lot of these things. And certain people will appreciate the love that you've put into this make. Not everybody does. You'll know if you like things like this, if your friends do. Okay, so that heart's done as well. I'm going to just try and sew that up. I'm going to sew them all up now. Right, so these are all the items that we have got. So I'm going to bring you a bit closer so you can see. Hopefully this will be about right, as near as I can get. So I'll set this book up so you hopefully can see it. So this is the first one, and I've put the little velvet ribbon on. So I'll pop that on there like so. And what I want to do is wrap them up in a bundle, so you can see what they look like. So there's 3 sizes of these. So then what we could do is, if you're giving it as a gift, you've got 3 there, haven't you? You put each one on top of the other, so you've got like a nice little stack, and they all match obviously. So you could have it that way, If you wanted to, it doesn't matter, however which way you like. And then obviously the little velvet loops I've put on each one, you could just put them underneath, and then with the ribbon we can put that underneath, and then we can sort of tie them in a nice little stack. You could tie a nice big bow on the top and then hang it down, and that would be a really little pretty gift. You could, like a little stack, and they all smell absolutely gorgeous, and that's like a little lovely gift. Then we've got an extra one. That was the one that was the rectangle one. And then we've got our lovely scrunchie, which I'll make a double one of these. You can make it a lot tighter if you want, just by pulling that elastic in, but I want a big one. I tend to like mine quite big so I can get two out of them. This is ideal for using up your lace. In the pack that I give you, you've got doily and lace, and it looks really pretty if you use that around the edges as well, for a bit extra decoration. We've got the heart there, and then another heart I showed you before, and then another one as well. So it's a lovely way of using these scraps up, and you can either have them as little pomanders in your own wardrobe or drawers, or give them as a gift So this is the finished project. You've got 3 lovely different sized pomanders all wrapped up, and of course they've got little loops on as well. I've just tucked underneath. Wrap them up so they could give them as a lovely gift. And then you've got your lovely heart, another pomander, nice scrunchie, and there are a few that I made before. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope to see you again soon. And please get using up your fabric scraps. Take some time out for yourself, enjoy what you're doing, and take it easy. And I'll see you again with another video quite soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.